Today's video is going to be focused only on the craziest and least known facts of ancient Egypt. If you knew any of these before watching the video, then you might be a history nerd, but I highly doubt it. So let's get straight into it. So let's start out with number 1. Pharaohs putting their secret sauce in the Nile River. Yes, as disgusting as it sounds, it was a tradition for all pharaohs to ejaculate into the Nile River. Why the hell would you do that, you may ask? Well, it's pretty simple to explain. See, in ancient Egypt, the belief was that a god Atum created the entire universe by masturbating, and that his seed became the world. And that is the reason why pharaohs also did it, because in ancient Egypt, pharaohs were considered divine and direct representatives of the gods on earth. And since the Nile River was basically the lifeblood of Egypt, because it provided water for crops and water for the civilians, by engaging in this ritual, the pharaohs aimed to plead the blessings of the gods, particularly in ensuring the Nile's regular fertility of the land, which was crucial for the survival and prosperity of the civilization. Now, I don't know how to feel about that, but that's how it was. Anyways, moving on to the second one on the list, which is honey slaves. Yeah, sounds sweet, right? But when I say honey slaves, I mean literal honey slaves. Not slaves feeding honey to the pharaoh, but I mean slaves covered head to toe with honey. Now, why would they do something like that? Well, as you know, if you watched our previous videos, ancient Egypt was packed with many insects like sandflies, which caused deadly diseases to exist. So in order to avoid this, pharaohs had slaves covered in honey to avoid being disturbed by these flies anywhere they went. It worked pretty well, as flies naturally went toward the slaves, leaving the pharaoh undisturbed. On to the third fact. Now this one might be a little disgusting, so if you want to skip this part, go ahead. So ancient Egypt had many beautiful women, in comparison to the rest of the foreigners, and of course, the Egyptians knew this well. That is why when an attractive woman died in ancient Egypt, their bodies were actually allowed to rot for a few days before handing them over to the embalmers. Now, why would they let them rot aside for, you may ask? Well, it's because they wanted to decrease any chances of the embalmers to commit necrophilia on them. Yes, you heard right. There have been events where the embalmers unfortunately got very carried away and committed the most disgusting acts anyone could commit. They delayed their embalming to avoid this happening and in turn protects the deceased's honor and purity. Yeah, ancient Egypt was pretty crazy. Now on to the fourth and final fact, which might be the most surprising, which is pyramids were not built by slaves. Which is surprising because many of us thought slaves were forced to build these pyramids against their will. But that is actually far from how it was actually built. Pyramids were actually built by skilled construction workers and were actually paid to build these pyramids. The workers, unlike slaves, were always in good condition and appeared to be well fed, as the remains found by scientists were researched, and they found that these workers were not like the ordinary slaves, or were actually well taken care of. I bet you didn't know that. If you did, you might be the biggest history nerd, but that's okay, we need more people like you anyway. If you stayed this far into the video, here's a quick bonus fact for you. Did you know that in ancient Egypt, baboons were actually considered a sacred animal and that they helped the Thoth, which was a scriber, by holding the scribe and could also be trained to be kept as a pet for the elites? Yeah, that's pretty crazy, isn't it? Well, that is all for today, guys. I hope you all enjoyed this video, and don't forget, if you want to show some love, don't forget to like and subscribe. And I'll see you all in the next video.